Damn, dude!
What up, everybody? What is good? Welcome to the Damn Dude Podcast.
Damn, dude.
Where this is a safe place to have the conversations that need to be had in a real vulnerable way that's really authentic and real, and to have these types of conversations in a way that'll make you think and say, damn, dude.
Damn, dude.
You know what I'm saying? Some of that shit, like one thing I realized, a big theme of this show is like, damn, I totally just fucking sidetracked. Oh. A lot of stuff on the show is like a lot of shit that you've thought, like a lot of the value that comes out of the show is stuff that you have felt before, or thought of before, but maybe have never been able to put into words before. So that's really where I realized like a big impact and a lot of value in the show lives is within that. So like within the show, this episode, we're on episode 29.
Damn, dude.
We got that crept up pretty quick, dude. And it's crazy because right now, once you get to like the 20s and 30s, when it comes to like shows and shit, in my experience and from what I've learned and heard, this is when people stop fucking with you tough, like ultra tough. And it's when, you know, like people are either being like, yo, I really fuck with you, or it's just kind of like not at all, and you know, I just realized like, damn, like, you know, it's just part of growth, and it is what it is. But on this episode, we're gonna really get into like who are we, like who are we not. And it's so crazy because most of us really don't know who we are and who we are not. We often know just kind of like opinions about things based off of other shit people have told us or influenced us by. So, with that being said, I'm gonna play this little clip because this just popped up on my memories on Facebook recently, and just listen. This is dope. It's so sick. All right, I'm gonna play this. Take a listen.
Look, this is a female mallard. We're talking on the Adobe Falls. This is a female mallard. Look at it.
When do ducks ever just kick it around?
When do ducks ever just walk around? We need to restore this. Everyone. I want everyone to rush down to the lakes and look to restore our population and nature's integrity. We're going to restore nature's integrity, starting with this one duck. This is a female mallard. And look at it. All it wants is its home back. We need to give it its home back. Look at it. It's trying to eat, but all it can eat is algae. Look at all the algae. Look at it. Look at what we created. I want everyone who's ever dumped a piece of trash to come down and help us. We need to start recolonizing this land, taking back the energy that we put in this lake. All the duck wants is food, but he can't get it because all this algae in the way. The duck can't get it. The duck can't because all this algae is blocking his natural food. Her natural food. That's all she wants. Food. I'm telling you, please come down to this lake. The duck will love you. I promise you.
Damn, dude.
The duck will love you, I promise you. Boom. That's fucking sick. So that was posted. That was my son Nate when he was 9. Nate, what up? I fucking love you so much, dude. Why do I play that? What's the significance to that in this episode? Well, really, that is an example of knowing who you are. And like, what do I mean by that? Like, that was clearly from him and from his heart, you know? It's like, I don't give a fuck. Like, this is what I'm passionate about, and this is what really fucking matters. Like, we fucked this up as humans, And we're down here cleaning Aztec Falls together as a team because this is what's right to do. And it's like legitimately those ducks like could not get to their fucking food. You know what I'm saying? And it was really sad. And it's like, that's one thing. My son, his favorite thing before was like birds and ducks and mallards and stuff like that. So like, I know for him to see that was pretty tough. And at the same time, us doing something about it was really dope.
Damn, dude.
You know what I mean? Like it really makes a difference. So with that being said, I think we often confuse who we are with what we feel and what we think and what we're influenced by. So what do I mean by that? Like, okay, so let me tell you this. Well, let me say this. I'm going to tell you a little story real quick. In my life, growing up, I've experienced a lot of death. So from when I was a little kid, when I was 6 years old, my great-grandma, my great-aunt, and my little sister, who was almost 2 years old, all passed away within the same month. All from different things, but they all passed away within the same month. I went in second grade. I stopped talking for like a year. I went into third grade, just kind of confused, whatever, just figuring out. I had a good teacher, which helped me out. Shout out Miss Thomas Cruz. And I started looking up to gangsters. Fourth grade, I really started kind of hanging out with different gangsters and different people. Fifth grade, same thing. Started getting deeper. Sixth grade, same thing. Seventh grade, still going. Just going through a lot of shit. I turned 11, thought I was a fucking man. You know what I'm saying? Did all sorts of shit. Smoked, drank, fucking, you know, whatever. The whole thing, fucking. I'm growing up. I'm 15. My second mom passes away. There's somebody, you know, I consider a second mom who helped raise me also. She passed away. Growing up, and then later in life, you know, I went through points of being suicidal, holding a gun to my head, and just ready to end things before. And I keep getting older. When I turn 20, my two best friends get murdered. I break my skull, neck, and back. I get fired from my job. I dropped out of college. I was going to be a firefighter. And then my ex of 5.5 years had gotten pregnant by somebody else, ended up with the whole thing. And like, I was just like, yo, like life fucking sucks, you know? And not to mention when I was 6 years old, I remember at my sister's funeral, I decided that my childhood was over. So I was like, I need to grow the fuck up. Life is serious. This shit's about life or death. Life is really, really real. You know what I mean? So turned 20, all that shit happened. Started smoking a lot of weed around then. Before that, before I even graduated high school, I was like a straight F student every single year, pretty much. Had to go Saturday school, I always say Saturday school, summer school every single year. And it was just tough, you know what I'm saying? And then I turned 17, fucking finally started finishing with school. I got kicked out my senior year of high school, and I got accused of murder and all this crazy shit, right? Got on all these gang details, this and that, the whole thing. And then from there, growing up, I ended up doing a lot of personal development, meditation, different plant medicines, different traveling, learning from different teachers, shamans, going to different countries, stuff like that. My whole point of saying all of this, I could add to this too. I also started few different businesses from that point after getting fired, and then, you know, working a job I really didn't like for a long time. Why I explain all of this again, why I recap all of this, is because all of that is not who I am.
Damn, dude.
None of those things are me. Those are all things and circumstances that have happened within my lifetime, but none of those things are who I am.
Damn, dude.
So really, it's like we're looking at this like, well, fuck, who are you? If I am not all my collection of pains and circumstances, and if I'm not my job title, because it's easy to go there, this is who I am, I'm a blank, blah, blah, blah. Nah, that's just what you do. all right, well, who are you? And a lot of us are just like, fuck, we can't a lot of us won't even stop to consider this because it's too deep of a question often. And a lot of us know that we don't know for ourselves, so we just kind of avoid it. And if you think about it, that kind of leaves us powerless at the end of the day because that leaves us wanting to buy shoes for some reason that we don't know. It's really just somebody else's influence. Like, you know, we've all done shit to try to be cool at some point in life. I mean, maybe if you haven't, there's, you know, shout out to you. But I mean, as far as me and everybody else that I've ever had experience with, we've all tried to do something to be cool at some point in life. And it might have looked stupid as fuck. Like back in the day, we used to cut out the tongues in our puffy like skate shoes and stuff them into our other shoes to make the shoes all puffy looking. And I mean, like, I guess it looked, I don't know. Honestly, that's pretty stupid because it made it harder to walk and just this whole thing. It was like, that shit was a trip. I don't know why we were doing that. We just wanted having a puffy ass shoe look cool. So like, I did it. And at the same time, if it wasn't for other people doing it, I would have never done that shit straight up.
Damn, dude.
You know what I mean? So I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, damn, I'm not any of this stuff. I'm not cool. I'm not uncool. I'm not fucking hot. I'm not ugly. I'm whatever the fuck I say I am. And it's interesting because I realized that a lot of like ugly ass dudes would talk like, yo, I'm so fine, blah, blah, blah. And then people would like relate to them like they're a good looking person because they claimed it. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, interesting, you know? Wow. Like, well, damn. And it works same thing too. Girls like, damn, I remember seeing girls who like weren't even hot, but because they just declared they were hot and fucking acted like it was kind of like, yo, like, you're with the shit. Like, all right, that's kind of cool, you know? So I look at this and I'm like, all right, so then who the fuck am I? Who are we? And I look at it and it's like, if I look at all my homies, all my family, every person I know, like, who are you? Who are they? So it's interesting because this is really fucking like mind twisting in a way. And I actually did this practice, which is pretty fucking trippy, which is I heard or I learned, however you want to say it, that we do not know who we are until we ask the majority of our inner circle who we are.
Damn, dude.
Like, wait, what? So for example, if I say that I'm a fucking nice guy, I'm fucking kind, I help people all the time, but in real life, my actions don't show that. The people who are around me, they're going to be the only ones who know the real answers. There's going to be some stuff they don't understand because there's stuff that's my vision that they can't see. But based off of my actions, they'll have a perception of that. And that tells who I am or tells who we are. So what I did was I went and I asked the majority of my friends, like, and this was part of a class exercise, which was really dope. Shout out to Landmark. It was through the SELP, Self-Expression Leadership Program. It was in that class where you go and you ask the people you know, and there's 4 questions. I always forget the 4, but it's something like, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What can you count on me for? And what can you never count on me for?
Damn, dude.
That's what they were. So if you go around and you ask every person that's really close to you and really knows you, and you tell them, look, I prefaced it with like, look, like, no matter what you tell me, I'm in a position where I'm not going to get mad and I'm not going to blame you and I'm not going to be upset. And you know what I mean? Like, you're free to say whatever the fuck you want, in regards to this. And it created this fucking space of where people just told me the truth about me. And it was like, yo, like, stuff that I really prided myself on, I found out that really that people actually thought the complete opposite of me.
Damn, dude.
Like, so I remember most of them were kind of like, I kind of had an idea of what they would say right off the bat, with certain people. And I knew a big one for me was going to be, yo, you're always late. And so that was something I really worked on, and I had to stop relating to myself like, yo, you're always late, you're always late, you're always late. And I still have to, now I just tell myself, yo, you're on time. And like, it just kind of works to trick my brain. And it's like, yo, leave early, be on time, this, that, whatever. That's a whole nother thing. But I realized, like, dude, most of us do not know who we are. and we don't even know why we like what we like, and we don't even know like any of these things. It's pretty fascinating. So I think I've talked about this before in another episode, but this is always really powerful and valuable for me, which was, I remember one time in class, this dude, he was like, yo, like, who are you? And I started listing my job title. I started listing my hobbies, my activities, all like motorcycles. I like this, that. I started listing my background. I started talking about what city I'm from. I started talking about what ethnicity I am. And I went through all these routes, and he wasn't accepting any of my answers. And I'm just like, yo, like, this is who I am. Like, what the fuck, dude? And it was interesting because I could not figure out who the fuck I was. And I remember, and I'm asking around, oh, and just tie this back to this. Oh, hell yeah, my cousin Howie, what's good, bro? And I can't really see who I was on here, but that's funny because I was just talking about you, Howie. Or I was just about to talk about you, which was, I asked my cousin Howie, I said, I gave him that whole scenario, like, all right, I need you to answer these questions for me. And the one thing he told me was that I like discipline. And for me, I always view myself as a hella disciplined person, like through doing years and years of kung fu, martial arts, different sports, different things. So in my head, that's who I was. But in real time, in real life, I was not being the embodiment of somebody who's disciplined. And I'm like, holy shit. And I see how that just spreads out. Like, I consider myself, or I mean, not even consider myself, I was so disciplined for so many years, just so fucking boom, and then like, for a while, I just kind of said, man, fuck this, like we all grow up and try to do opposite of what we grew up knowing and shit, So, dude, so it's a trip. So I'm looking at it like, well, okay, so going back to the story I was about to tell, which is, who am I? So I'm getting asked, who the fuck am I in class? I'm answering every fucking question. Dude's not accepting any of my answers. I'm like, this is like, I started getting mad. I'm like, yo, like, what the fuck, bro? Like, are you fucking with me? You know what I mean? Like, he's like, nah, really? He's like, you want me to give you an example of who I am? And I'm like, all right. And he tells me, and I was just like blown away. So from right there, I just started thinking of like, all right, really, who the fuck am I? If I'm not my job, if I'm not my name, if I'm not my activities, if I'm not my upbringing, if I'm not my pain, if I'm not my happiness, and I'm not my dreams necessarily either, like, who the fuck am I? And it hit me to where I'm like, yo, I don't know who the fuck I am. And that led me to realize, yo, I don't love myself. Holy shit.
Damn, dude.
Like, that really hit me one day. I remember I was just driving in the car with my mom and my friend, and they were just both like, I don't know, they're talking about self-love, and it just hit me. I was like, I remember I started breaking down in the car. I'm just like, damn, like, I don't love myself. And at the same time, it was so beautiful because I'm like, whoa, now I know that I'm supposed to.
Damn, dude.
You know what I mean? Like, I had no idea that I'm even supposed to love myself. Like, people didn't tell me that growing up. Like, nobody who was an influence of mine said, dude, make sure you love yourself. Say what you're grateful for every day. Show appreciation, show gratitude. All these things. I'm like, yeah, I was polite and I had manners and stuff, but that's not real gratitude. That's just some like superficial game we play with each other. Like, I don't like, really, nobody actually cares about that shit to their core. I mean, maybe, I don't know. Actually, I can't speak on behalf of everybody, but so I started going through just figuring out who I'm not. And within figuring out who I'm not, I'm like, all right, well, fuck. I am an entrepreneur, but that's not who I am. I am somebody who does what they love in life. But that's kind of who I am. And I started just deducting all these things. Well, I'm this, I'm that, and it's like I realized I could assign any title to myself. And I realized that once I received lots of different judgment from many different aspects of life. Like I've said before, like I've received racism as a Mexican, as if I was Mexican. I'm not Mexican. I've received racism as if I'm just a white guy. I'm not just a white guy. You know what I mean? Like I've received racism as an Asian. I've received racism, and it like I've had people talk shit about Asians to me as if they're safe, like I'm another white dude who's on their level. And it's like, yo, this is a trip. So I started seeing like, yo, a lot of people view me with many different hats. Some people, without my whole business ventures, think I'm fucking rich as fuck. Some people think I'm not making shit. Some people think, yo, this guy's just some fucking, he just talks a lot of shit, whatever. You can think whatever you want. And I realized that it really doesn't matter. And as long as I ask my inner circle and the people who are around me who I am, and they can give me the answers to that, and that's in alignment with who I think I am and who I feel like I am, then I think we're cool. Because I believe in my heart that if you ask anybody around me in my life, if I love my life and I love what I do, I believe that you're going to get a yes from the majority of the people. And the reason I'm not saying this like in any cocky or, bragging type of way. I'm just saying this in like, to me, it's so important that I do the work to live the life that I want to live. And when other people see that, it just kind of confirms that I'm doing that or not. I don't need anybody's validation. It just kind of helps me with like, it's just kind of like a checklist. It's like, hey, you know what I mean? Like we really can make a big impact on ourselves and each other's lives when we check in with each other. And I realize that, and I fucking suck at doing this on a regular basis. Like when I talk with somebody and we have a conversation, we go deep as fuck and we really get into how we feel and where we're at in life and all these things. And at the same time, like I realize I don't check in with people often enough. So that was one reason that I really like doing this podcast, is because it really allows me to just put this out there and then others can just respond to it or whatever. Like, I don't know. That's not the answer, but it's just, that's something I considered within this, is like, damn, if I'm able to share all these things and people can relate and have some sort of agreement, then in turn we can, like, I don't know, it just creates what I want to create. Because I know once I started asking those questions of my friends and my family about who I am to them and in their world, they started asking those questions of each other. And we all started asking these questions. And once you know to learn to ask certain questions of life, then you can start receiving better things. A lot of us are like in this just go. We're not present, so we're not asking what we want continuously. We're just kind of like, I need to get through this. And when we need to get through shit, life just sucks, dude. Like, it's not fun. And I realized that that's one big thing that school taught me, is like, do not do shit that you just have to get through, because it's a fucking choice. It's completely an option. Like, do not do that. Having no money is not that fucking bad, dude. Like, I promise you, I've had no money more times than most people can even consider. And when I say no money, I literally mean zero or like negative tens of thousands of dollars. There's a lot of people when they say, oh, I don't have any money, they still have like $3,000 in the bank or like some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not even it. You know what I'm saying? We got to learn to be happy. Like, money's dope. Money's easy to make. Money is easy to also spend, and money is also easy to be irresponsible with. At the same time, we gotta learn to be happy, dude, because money is dope as fuck, and it's just not the answer. You know what I'm saying? So when we don't know who we are, we have to look for these outer sources to fucking find happiness. And it's crazy how many people can't be alone with themselves. You know what I mean? Like, how many people can't sit in silence with themselves? It's sad, dude. Like, it's really, really sad. I feel like if you can't sit with yourself, you do not know who you are. And I don't say that as a diss on anybody. I say that out of experience, because for so long I couldn't sit with myself. There's no way I could sit without music, or fucking go to class without fucking whatever, or walk to school without talking to myself, or like some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I realized, like, damn, dude, like, I can't be with myself. So how the fuck do I even know who the fuck I am? You know what I mean? Like, shit, dude, like, you cannot know who you are if you can't, and you haven't sat with yourself long enough. You know what I'm saying? And it's interesting because I look at this shit and whatchamacallit, my bad. I fucking got distracted. I started looking at the phone. That's why I don't look at the phone. What up to anybody who was there? I think I lost everybody when I started. It's funny because we had a good amount of live. And as soon as I don't know who's on here. I saw my cousin and I saw my son earlier. A couple of homies pop up. But whenever I start talking about that, people just, boom, they tune out. And it's interesting because a lot of us don't want to do that work. You know what I'm saying? And there's times where I hear people saying shit like that. And I'm like, I don't want to hear it because I don't want to do the work. You know?
Damn, dude.
So it's crazy. And I look at who am I? And I am somebody who's... It's funny because I just wanted to like... I have my answer that I usually say, but right now I just kind of like... My brain didn't want to put it out how I normally do, so I guess I have to recreate this for myself. Wow, I'm glad I'm doing this right now. So, who am I? I am the creation of a safe space to be vulnerable, open, filled with love, happiness, and positivity. That's who I am. And I realized that I am somebody who's a mediator. My Chinese name actually means that. Excuse me. My Chinese name is Ga Ven, and it means mediator. Like somebody who brings the people together. And I got my name. You don't get your Chinese name till you're older. And I got, and you know, I was maybe like 10 or something like that. And 10, 11, 12, 13, something like that. And that was what I got it. And it's crazy because it kind of fit. I never really understood. I'm like, why did my grandpa give me that? And it kind of just like fits. I'm like, all right, cool. You know, like this is tight. Like I realized that by mediator, it means that I am somebody who creates a safe space. Like you can always feel safe around me. And it's funny because I realize a lot of ex-girlfriends or whoever always would say that. That's one thing they would always say in comments, like, oh, I always feel so safe. You know, whether you're just a dude or whatever, but like, I don't know. That was just something I realized would always kind of occur. So with that being said, we've been going in on this shit, man. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to be right back here.
Damn, dude.
Make them say, no, 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 no. Make them say, no, 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 no. P, this ain't no motherfucking P. If you know what that's from, shout out to you. That means you're probably pretty old and or know some good music from back in the day. Whatchamacallit. So, man, dude, we went in. I fucking kind of just fired off there. We were just, yeah, man. We were just going in, dude. That was pretty ill, honestly. I think I really needed that for myself. Whether that fucking does something for anybody or not, that was useful for me. So, thank you. So something that I realize and I think about often is that when we start something new, we often get so scared. Like, why? What's so scary? And this happens for me every single fucking time that I start a new client, that I interview somebody, every time I start this podcast, especially when I flip the live camera on my phone. That shit fucks me up, dude. Like I said, if you want to catch the lives, follow it. I usually do them on Instagram. Sometimes I'll do them on Facebook just to kind of like keep fucking giving them something so they'll, I don't know, maybe I can monetize or something. I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, do some product review. I don't know, man. Anything's possible. I don't know shit about this. So if you could help me out, that would be dope. If you're just like a fucking sick-witted online guy and you want to help a brother out. So where I was going with that is we often don't start something new because we don't know who the fuck we are. And we're too afraid of the criticism and the doubt and the what ifs to just take any action about it. And it really sucks when you get paralyzed from fear. Like, I'm sure we've all been there in some fashion. I don't know. Maybe you haven't. Like I said, I can't speak on behalf of everybody. I think people think starting like a project, starting this new idea, really just letting go and having faith is like requires so much more. It just really doesn't. Like if you just let go, follow your heart and just let all the pieces just fucking crumble and like realize that, whoa, I can actually see better now that all the pieces are fucking down. You know what I mean? Um, like we don't have to be an entrepreneur. You don't have to be a businessman. You don't have to whatever. You just have to know who you are. Like really, if you're trying to start a fucking project or a business or anything, like all that's required is just knowing who you are. That's really it. You know, it's like I think when you know who you are, you know your strengths, you know your weaknesses, and when you know your strengths and weaknesses, that kind of gives you the ability to just stop thinking and just go.
Damn, dude.
You know what I mean? And I think this is why it's important to have a relationship with our fears and with our strengths. And also to know, and what I mean by, to throw into having a relationship with our strengths and weaknesses is to know, is to like to be able to trust them, and to know, okay, whether this is an unknown situation or not, I know my strengths and I know my weaknesses, and I'm going to go lean into my strengths in this situation. And if I'm in a spot where I can't do that and I know I'm in my weakness, I'm going to get to know my weakness very well, and I'm going to just humble it enough to go shut up and learn from the next guy who really does know. You know what I'm saying?
Damn, dude.
So I think it's so important because when we know who we are, that means we can take action and we can just go. And there's nothing more powerful than being able to do that. There's nothing more powerful than being able to just take action and to do shit and to not worry about the judgment and the this and the that. And I know I still have a good handful of that in me when it comes to going and like dancing at like fucking salsa nightclub or some shit. I'm not trying to do that. Like, I don't, maybe there's some, not maybe, but there's definitely some reservation and some punk ass, bitch ass version of me inside of me still that's like too embarrassed to go learn. I don't know. I mean, like, I guess I would. I just don't want to. Like, but then I look at why I don't want to, and I start analyzing. What was that? Oh, I was worried something just beeped. So, and I start analyzing, like, why do I not want to? And I realize, like, fuck, like, I don't think it looks that cool. I think this is goofy, blah, 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 this or that. And granted, it's cool. So also, it's tight. It's just like, I'm just like, it's not really for me. Like, the same way I can watch ice skating or ballet or whatever, like, I think that's cool. I just like, it's not really for me. But then at the same time, how do I know it's not for me if I haven't gone and tried it?
Damn, dude.
Fuck. You know what I mean? Like,
damn, dude.
Come on. Like, see, that's the conundrum. And that's what's interesting is because I get to know myself and I realize and I know, okay, strengths, weaknesses. And within this weakness, I'm still a little uncertain as to why. And I'm kind of okay with it existing still. You know what I mean? It's kind of by like, I've analyzed it and I've thought about it. I'm kind of like, I guess I'm cool. Like, I don't, maybe at some point I'll be down. I just don't really have the inclination to, Now, at the same time, because who I am, if I were to end up in a club, in a nightclub or whatever, and there's a chance for somebody to show me, I'd probably participate. My homie Sebastian is always on me for this shit because he teaches it and he does all sorts of dancing and all of those, and he's just like with it. He's the sexy guy, the whole cha-cha-cha thing. And I'm just like, damn, bro, like he's like the best, like for reals, and he teaches it and all this shit, and like I'm just like, damn, bro, like I don't know, man. I can't honestly, I don't know. And he's giving me, we've talked about this, and Sebastian doesn't, if he talked to me, he doesn't let you off the hook with bullshit. Like, so I've just really been like, damn, bro, I just don't want to. Like, I don't know. I'm sorry, bro. So it's interesting. I look at that and I'm like, well, we all have a choice in all of this, And I realize that for the most part, I'm not too embarrassed too easily. Like, it does take a bit. Granted, I mean, I don't know. But like, I don't know where I was going with that. I think that I don't know, man. Like, having awareness of our strengths and weaknesses, like I'm trying to think, like, how do I do that? And I'm trying to think firstly from just getting to know myself. And within getting to know myself, I've kind of like categorized and compartmentalized a lot of the information that not even information, but I mean, by information, I mean things that I've seen, witnessed, learned, heard, everything that I've ever seen, learned, heard, witnessed in my life. I've kind of contextualized it, and I go back and I've revisited as much of it as I can, and I do it as frequently as I can until it's healed.
Damn, dude.
So I'm like, all right, like, I look at this, and a whole big goal of mine was to, do healing for myself, which consists of what I believe to be, traumas from childhood, traumas from growing up, traumas from relationships, traumas from, even adulthood, traumas from, family passed on, trauma from from generations that go on, trauma from, my own ill thinking, different shit like that. And we all have it. I never knew that I had trauma, but I realized, holy shit, like, damn, I had major PTSD as far as like this gangbang culture shit. Like, it took me so long to like pull up at lights and kick back and like not be fucking freaked the fuck out, with my seat kicked back to the pillar where you can't see my face, and the whole thing, where I pull up just a quarter of the way and worried about getting shot. I'm worried about getting this, that, everything, man. Like, it is just constant paranoia, constant. And the first thing I did to heal it was, for one, I'm trying to like boil this down to the smallest fraction. Like, the first step I did in healing all my fucking shit was I just gotten in so much trouble at some point that it kind of forced me to like not go anywhere. And then once I broke my neck, I broke my skull, neck, and back in 8 spots, and I was laid out for a good while with that. I could only kind of like walk around a little bit with neck brace. So I just had a lot of time to think. I would just smoke a lot of weed and just sit there and just fucking think and think and think and think. And like, all I had time to do was think and just be with myself, It's like, fuck, like, my whole sleep pattern was all off from everybody else's in the house, and everybody else that, went to work or school or just lived normal life. Like, I was like, because they had me on pills at first. Eventually I stopped taking them, but when I was on those, I was just all jacked up. Time, days, everything was just all screwed up. So eventually I switched to just smoking weed instead. And I'm like, man, fuck all that shit, dude. Like, it just made me angry and pissed off and itchy as fuck. It made me so fucking itchy. Oh my God. I remember I scratched holes into my feet. I scratched holes into my wrists, my fingers. Fucking, I don't even remember. It was just so fucked up. Like, it completely sucked. Like, I remember they gave me Oxycontin, and coming off of that was like the worst thing ever. Being on it was terrible. Coming off of it was even worse. And I didn't know what it was. That's what I think also. If I knew what it was, I wouldn't have taken it. Because now, if I were to get injured like that, I wouldn't take that. I would be taking like edibles and other shit like that. I'd probably go to the jungle, honestly, out in Peru and work with the plants and stuff. My whole thing is, I don't really fuck with doctors. If it's something where it's like, okay, broken bone or something where it's like, okay, I kind of need your help here, I'll do that. Like, I heard somebody say, if I get hit by a car or something, take me to the hospital here. Fine, cool. But, if I get cancer, if it's some shit like that, he was saying, like, I'm going out to the jungles, I'm fasting, I'm this and that, I'm juicing, juice, just all alkaline, the whole thing. And and it's funny because I was like, damn, I agree with that guy. Like, granted, I'm not putting that on myself. I don't believe in saying, oh, if I this, if I that. Like, I don't think that's good to say unless it's a positive thing, because that's kind of how we put a curse on ourselves, is by saying shit like that. So I think that tying this all back together is like, well, when we know who we are, we know what we're saying, and we're aware of what we're saying. And that's kind of why, like, I look back and I only accidentally listen to these podcasts over again. So when I'm listening through my whole list of podcasts and then like a new episode of my own show like downloads that day, it'll just start playing and I'm like, oh, well, it was interesting. And I'll listen through and like, sometimes I'll get all the way through, sometimes I won't, whatever. But what I realized was that like, I don't really care about what, not that I don't care. What is it? Like, I don't really care if I said something dumb, because I'm relatively sure and aware of what I'm saying in real time most of the time. So most of the time, I do know what I'm saying. There's times where I'm kind of just either my ego's talking or I'm on autopilot, but I'm not very frequently on autopilot. Usually when I'm like hyper focused, I can still at least hear that you said something to me. I know that other people, when they're hyper focused, you go, hey, 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 you say their name a bunch of times and they can't even, like nothing registers. Like, I can at least hear that you said something, So like when I'm hyper focused, I can at least do that. And I can kind of take my brain a few places while I'm hyper focused. Especially through teaching babies and riding motorcycles really fast. Like, those two things really help me be hyper focused and I guess be inside and outside all at the same time.
Damn, dude.
Damn, that's a good way to say that. Riding motorcycles really quickly, and doing tricks and wheelies and shit, that teaches you hyper focus especially when you first start learning, because you're hyper focused and you have to start implementing different moves and positions in order to make it work, right? So I think it's really fascinating, because when I teach kids, it's kind of the same thing. I'm looking at these little movements in real time, but I'm more observing. First, I had to observe my own movements, but I had to observe their movements and how they move and breathe in the water. I have to be quick enough to catch it before they realize they're going to do it. You know what I mean? It's like the same way if you're to tell a motorcyclist before he's coming into a corner, you can tell he's about to make this mistake, or he's about to do this, or he's about to go around. You can predict what it's going to look like before he goes through, because you understand where his entrance point and lean angle's at. You know what I'm saying? I guess this could apply to in a car if you drive like that. Where it's like you're just looking around and it's like, okay, the angle of this car and around this and whatever, and like my entry point of the turn, the apex of the turn, and the exit point, they all have to match up to equal the best turn. You know what I'm saying? It's like the best way to cut all that off with the least amount of skidding and well, unless you drift, but like, if you're just driving or riding a motorcycle, with the least amount of skidding and the most amount of like contact to the ground, and you know what I mean? That's going to give you the most control. So, having that self-awareness, dude, it's really crazy, because it all kind of boils down to like, damn, people know themselves in different ways, so they're able to perform different tasks. And when you know yourself in different ways, you ask different questions.
Damn, dude.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you literally ask different questions of life. Some people go, hey, how fast can I ride this motorcycle? Some people go, hey, I'm never riding a motorcycle. How long can I sit at this desk and work and create this, whatever, video account, papers, whatever. Everybody asks different questions of life, so we get different things. So being that that's just true, like when we ask who are we, we've really got to figure this out, because the truth is most of us don't know, and it's important that we know, and it's completely okay to make up who you are every single time on the spot, as long as it's, goes in alignment with what everybody else can agree with that is true. So for me, I know that every time I say who I am and I recreate who I am, that's for me, my thing is like, I like to recreate who I am every single time. I don't want to be, I want to be growth. If I am who I was yesterday, that's not growth. If I am who I was 10 years ago, that's not growth. So I think comparing ourselves to ourselves in the past is a very dangerous formula that is asking for unhappiness. When people come from a place of, oh, I just want to be back to like when I was in my 20s, like, I get it when people are saying that for healthy things, but it's not, just the wordage of it is not healthy, because you're comparing yourself to your past. And when we compare ourselves to our past, we're no longer present. That's why I believe that it's important to recreate ourselves every single time.
Damn, dude.
You dig that? Like you follow that? Like, real shit, man. Like, this is some really, really real ass shit. So it's like, I always ask myself, like, all right, well, who am I? And I always ask myself, like, all right, what am I grateful for? I ask myself who I'm grateful for more than I ask myself who I am currently, but it kind of goes back and forth. But I've learned that saying what I'm grateful for 3 times a day, every morning, every night, is the most powerful shit ever, because it trains the subconscious. And when you train the subconscious, we get to really know who we are. Because I've had so many conversations and back and forths and winning and losing battles, more losing, but battles with my inner voice that when I spill something or knock something over goes, oh, you fucking idiot. I've just fucking stopped and been like, hold on, no. It's okay. You knocked a cup over. And I would literally do that. I would have these conversations. And I remember it all started for that in particular, it started when I started reading this book, Fearvana, which is a badass book. I highly recommend it. Like fear and nirvana mixed together, Fearvana. Definitely go get that. That's one of my favorite books for sure. But it was when I started reading that, I was in Peru. I was in the jungle. I was in Mana Kameri Island. And I'm like, whoa, I started doing that. I would like step in mud, or I would drop something, or this or that. And I was like, holy shit. Like, I started being nice to myself. And one of my biggest lessons that I learned out in Peru that time was that I need to love myself the way that my parents loved me when I was a baby. Like, ultimately, that we all need to love ourselves the way that we love our babies in our lives, and our children, and our little sisters and nephews and nieces. And the way that we need to love ourselves that much, which is also the same amount that our parents or loved ones or anybody showed to us, if you had that, or anybody that showed you love when they're coming up and you're small and you're cute and all of that, If you had a hard life or not, I'm sure there's at least somebody, because you're still here. If there was nobody, you wouldn't be here still. You know what I'm saying? That's some real ass shit. Damn,
dude.
So... Fuck, dude. So that's some powerful shit, man, is self-love and getting to love yourself. Getting that equals getting to know yourself. Getting to know yourself equals being able to take action, take a leap, have faith, and be afraid and still go pull the shit off that you dream of and you want to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, life is too short and life is too long. You know what I'm saying? It just depends which fucking angle you're standing on, because there's all, I can give a million metaphors for this. If you're driving on a road and it's like there's a cliff down one side and there's a mountain wall on the other side, it's like, are you staring at the mountain wall, or are you looking at the view off the side? Like, we can have any fucking version of this that we want. You know what I'm saying? So let's choose happiness. Let's get to know ourselves. Let's fucking stop and be able to be with ourselves and not let technology take over our lives. And if we are going to indulge in technology, let's put shit that's good for us into our ears and into our eyes and into our body, and recognize that it's powerful to take breaks sometimes. And this is definitely for myself too, because I've been going way the fuck overboard on my phone and all of this shit. Which, by the way, just throw this in there real quick. I lost my phone at Dave & Buster's the other night. and somebody found it. Find My Phone did it. But Find My Phone did it with my son's phone, and we tracked that shit down, and they had it, and they were hella cool, and yeah, it was awesome. So shout out to you guys, Dave and Buster's, Mission Valley. And they're back open. It's fucking fun, man. So on that note, I appreciate you guys. Make sure you go leave a 5-star written review. Holler at us on Apple Podcasts as well as Listen Notes. We're verified on there and shit, so it's pretty cool. And they're the ones that do the real rankings. I am not even like affiliated. I mean, we host through them, but I'm not contracted with them. Nothing like I just got a page through them and they help host. So, but I love their page, dude. It's fucking sick. They're the ones that all the top dogs, go off for rankings and shit. So, yeah, make sure you do that. I would appreciate it. And on that note, make sure you show yourself some love. Love yourself. Yes. Go for it. You know what I'm saying? However you take that. But on a serious note, much love. Make sure you say what you're grateful for. At least 3 things every morning, every night, whether it be yourself or somebody or your life or a situation or anything. So on that note, I really appreciate you guys. And yeah, Rooster Tail, take us out. That's at Rooster Tail, Rooster TALE official on Instagram and wherever you can find music. Take us out, my man. Much love. Peace.
Push away.